Hey guys, it's Brittany, and I had my baby. So I had my baby a week ago. So I was gonna do a vlog, but when it actually came to the time that I was in labor, I didn't want to do anything except for sit there and wait and cry. I decided to just do a labor and delivery story for you guys. It all started. So 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday was when I first felt like an actual contraction. Like, it wasn't Braxton Hicks, it was an actual contraction. I was freaking out because I was having them like what is the word? Regularly. It was every 10 minutes, and so I told my mom. We did end up going to the emergency room, and they told me that I was in early labor and that I was definitely having contractions, but they weren't strong enough to make me dilate any more than I already was, which I was 1.5 centimeters, so not very much. And so they sent me home and they told me to go back if they are 2 to 5 minutes apart, or like so strong you can't even talk or like walk through them. I went back home, and then the whole week I kept having contractions every 10 minutes. It was an on and off type of thing. Like, for a couple hours they would be there every 10 minutes, and then it would go away with like a walk or bouncing on a yoga ball or a bath. It would go away. So that's how I knew I was in early labor and actually in labor. All that week, from Tuesday all the way until the next Wednesday, I did as much walking as I could. I went to parks and I walked trails. I walked around the mall. I walked around Bike Splits and Barbecues, if y'all know what that is. I just try to stay as active as possible. I cleaned my room a lot. I actually mowed the lawn too. I don't know if that's safe, but I did that too. Tuesday I had my first contraction. Went throughout that week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday I got a membrane sweep. I stayed extremely active after that. I did have really painful cramps, but they weren't like contractions. It was just a constant feeling. It wasn't like on and off like a contraction should be. It was quite painful. I didn't go to school. So on Tuesday, I think that was the day that I mowed the lawn. So Wednesday I woke up, got out of bed, bounced on my yoga ball, walked around again. Basically the same thing I did on Tuesday. On Thursday night was when I went into actual labor. Not like, I wasn't admitted to the hospital, but like I was in labor. I was having contractions 5 minutes apart, and I was very, very slowly dilating, like really very, very slowly. I went from 1.5 to a 2 on that Thursday night, and so they told me, you're still not dilated enough to get admitted, so we're gonna have to send you home. I was really upset that I got sent home. I was in pain, I was hurting, there were definitely contractions. I kept waking up at night, Thursday night, with really painful contractions. They were still 5 minutes apart, or not 5 minutes, 8 minutes. And they were constantly 8 minutes apart until it got to about 4 o'clock on Friday, and then when I got to 4 o'clock, it was more constant. It was more like 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, somewhere around there. I just had to wait until the contractions started to get to 2 minutes apart for a full hour. That's what they told me at the hospital. I didn't go until that night, so all day long I was having really painful contractions. I was actually going out food shopping and stuff with these contractions, walking around, waddling around like a penguin. Well, once my contractions were 2 minutes apart, I told my mom, I was like I couldn't walk or talk through my contractions anymore. It got super painful. And so I told my mom, I was like, I think it's time. So while I was having 2 minute apart contractions, I was sitting on my yoga ball eating a candy apple from the fair while my boyfriend was cleaning my room, because we didn't want to come home to a messy room with a baby. We cleaned up. I, for the most part, just ate my candy apple. We fixed up the hospital bags the very last minute. We gathered everything up in a corner of the room, and we were just like, we're gonna leave it here just in case they send us home, because I was in denial. So they checked me, And they asked me what I was at yesterday, and I told them I was at 2 centimeters dilated and 80% effaced. And then the doctor checked me, and he looked at me, and he was like, well, guess what? And I was like, what? And me and my mom just gave each other a look. And he was like, you're at a 5. And my heart dropped, honestly, because, like, I think I'm gonna cry. Ooh. My heart dropped because before that, I felt like I was just so ready. Like, I felt emotionally, mentally, physically very ready. But when it got to, like, where it was real, I was scared. I was terrified. I was just shocked. And I was excited. We waited there for about 30 minutes. They got my IV in. Then they got me in a wheelchair and they wheeled me down to my room. I just stayed there. They gave me a little yoga ball. They told me, like, do you want a yoga ball? I was like, sure. Then, since we had our stuff at home, my boyfriend went home and picked up our stuff and then took it to the hospital because it had his pajamas and stuff, and I didn't want him to spend... It was 9:30 when we got to the hospital, so I didn't want him to, like, spend the whole night in his jeans, really uncomfortable. A lot of people were, like, from his side of the family, were all waiting in the waiting room, and the only person I had from my family was my mom there, and my uncle for part of the time. I was dilating very, very slowly. Like, every couple hours they would come and check me, and for, like, the first 3 times that they checked me, they were like, you're 5 to 6 centimeters, and I was like, barely, like, still. I was dilating very slowly, considering how painful the contractions were, and how close they were together. I was hoping to be dilated a lot more, a lot sooner, but I was not. After they came, they told me I was 6 to 7 centimeters. My contractions started to get, like, super, super bad, and I asked the nurses about any other form of medication that wasn't an epidural. I didn't have the epidural at first. I wasn't planning on using it, so I told her, I was like, I don't want epidural, but do you have another form of medication that you can give me? So they gave me this medicine that's called Nubane, and it didn't really relieve much pain. It just made you, like, it just made me loopy, like a high feeling, I guess. Like, I just was tired, relaxed. But I still felt the contractions, but it was like, I'm just so relaxed that I'm not even gonna react. I was 7 centimeters. I stayed at 7 centimeters for several hours. I was in labor for about, I'd say 15, or no, yeah, 15. I think it was like 14 hours. It was like 15 hours. I can't do math, but for out of those 15 hours, most of it I was being 7 centimeters. So eventually they just got too painful, and I was crying, and, like, I was crying. I wasn't screaming or yelling, but I was crying because I couldn't help it. Like, and they were just way too painful, and so eventually the nurse was like, you still have the option of an epidural if that's what you want. If you don't want to, we can also break your water, and it'll help speed things up, but it'll get super painful. I was like, I can't do painful anymore. I can't. So I told them, I want the doctor to break my water, but I want to get the epidural first. So I did that, and so I got the epidural. They broke my water. After they broke my water, I couldn't feel anything. I was trying to go to sleep, and I don't know if I actually fell asleep or if, like, the time just went by super, super quick, but, like, a whole bunch of hours went by, and next thing you know, I started feeling like I was gonna poop. Like, when I had a contraction, I felt like really, like, a lot of pressure down there. Like, I felt like my baby was gonna slide out any minute now. And so so I called the nurse, and I was like, I told her that I was feeling a lot of pressure with my contractions, and she's like, be right in. So she checked me, and she asked me to give her a push, so I did. And she was like, you're ready to push? And immediately after she said that, I got the jitters. Like, I could not stop shaking. I was so so nervous, filled with anxiety. Oh, it was so overwhelming. Like, I didn't cry though, so that's good. The doctor told me that I had to push with every contraction, so I did a couple of practice pushes, and then they were like, okay, time for the real thing. And I did calm down a little bit, but I was still very nervous. So I started pushing. Eventually, after so long of pushing the head out, she came out at 1:26 p.m. on Saturday, October 5th. And I was super happy, and my boyfriend, like, he had tears in his eyes. Everybody was so happy. And yeah, we did skin to skin immediately after she came out. She's starting to get fussy, so I think I'm gonna go, but I'll show you guys her first. Oh my goodness. This is my baby. She's super cute. Another day I will make a video and show you guys a better view of her, but right now she's getting really fussy because she's hungry. So yeah, I never did do a name reveal, so my baby's name is Alani J. Tumini, and Tumini is her dad's last name because he is Asian. So yeah, so that is her name, and that is my baby. That is my labor and delivery story. I will make another video, a postpartum update video, another time, but for now, this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Now I'm gonna go feed my baby.